Welcome back to the channel, everyone. It's part 2 on this K5 restoration. John, you've got a lot of that frame stuff kind of buttoned up. I know you got some other stuff to do, but you did some paint and suspension work?
Yes, sir. Fresh coat of paint over all the new parts and new suspension.
Man, it looks sharp, looks real sharp. We've got some nasty stuff to deal with today. One thing that you have on this truck is a bunch of rust, huh?
Yeah, some floor pan rust.
Floor pan rust. Cancerous rust, you know.
These floor pans are covered in it, so that's what we're gonna be doing today, is cutting up a lot of this truck and replacing it and try to get rid of this cancer. All right, dude, so we've got a lot of stuff in here. We got a lot of spots. We got this spot first, okay? Grind a little, find a little. We've got a bad corner over here. These are some known spots that usually get cancer on these square bodies, man.
Yeah, so they hold moisture here, as you can tell, obviously, because it's just like a corner down low.
This is the worst spot. We've got a lot of work. There is some old patchwork that was done before. Guarantee you there's some bad stuff in there.
Ew, seriously? That is so gross.
And then again in these corners, we want to clean those up. And then John's gonna also come through and patch up just any little hole that doesn't need to be here, except that hole, right? That's your favorite hole?
Yeah, we're saving that one.
We're assuming that that was someone had their rifle in this truck at some point in time, and that's definitely a bullet hole.
Yeah, you can tell it's mushroomed out on the other side.
Oh, give me something to get these bolts out. You know where anything is in this place? How do you find anything?
I know where they're at.
Oh, just short. Story of his life.
Oh, come on. We should use the impact for this.
I was about to say, you got 3 more of those after that. Now we're cooking with grease.
Before we get too carried away with a cutoff wheel, we're gonna go ahead and buff these spots to get all the excess rust and paint away so we can see clear as day how much we have to actually remove.
Some chunks are coming out. I'm gonna keep buffing.
Taking this tiny little burr bit on this Dremel just to get all the seam sealer and all the stuff where I can't get a wire wheel into, so we get everything as clean as we can. We're not gonna get everything, but we're gonna try.
Get all that crap up, that seam sealer that we're grinding away. We wanted to just double check before we cut any material how much we actually have to cut. That stuff went everywhere. If you were wondering what brand die grinder this was, it's die grinder. So you got 8x7, that's the square that you want to cut for this first spot. That's the goal. 8x7, let's go cut some sheet metal and then trace the sheet metal we cut on there and then cut that off, yeah? While John's banging around back there, I'm gonna go ahead and swap over. I was gonna use a plasma cutter to cut the sheet metal, but it's only 16 gauge. I think it might be just easier if we just use some of these Cubitron 3s and put a cut wheel on it and just zip cut it, because it's a little bit easier than having to run the air and all that good stuff. So we're gonna just see if we can get away with just zip cutting stuff today. But we are still gonna use the Hurricane for maybe the MIG and maybe even the TIG. Got it traced. You wanted me to cut on the inside, right?
Yes, sir.
Cut on the inside of the line. There's that structural piece that goes underneath, so you're gonna holler at me, make sure I don't cut it, and I'll go light in that spot just to get the sheet metal.
Little did I know, not only were we removing the rust from this area, but John had other plans. There's a nasty bolt that connects this to the frame that we also have to remove.
I think I need to just separate everything and pry it up that direction. Come off, you. Yee. That's that cancer that we're trying to avoid. I'm gonna remove that little bit of plate because it's kind of in the way. It's a light weight reduction, right? Cut around the meat. The only thing you really got to be careful about with these wheels is you can grind these thin. I'm actually removing all of this sheet metal right here that's kind of just stuck on there. And that's coming right off, but this stuff right here I don't want to make thin. It's already thin. I don't want to take any meat away from what not supposed to.
We got the rest of that sheet steel up so we have access to this bolt and clean it up with this fiber disc and a wire wheel to make sure we have all the rust out and get a shot back in there to get all the nasty bits.
Where we're at, this is the bolt that holds it to the frame. We pulled the old one out because it was messed up.
It's not moving?
No, you look like you're working though. So that's gonna drop in here. We're gonna go ahead and tack that, and then we're gonna go get this, which test fitting right now, it fits okay. We don't want any high-low. Everything needs to be nice and smooth. So this corner right here is sitting up high. So we're gonna have to make sure we trim this a little bit and make sure it all fits. Just to give you some idea why we were going through so much trouble, these are the old bolts for the body mount to the frame, held in by some metal clips. We're just welding the washer to these new bolts and then welding that washer to the body itself.
We want to weld this bolt to the washer first before we put it in, so we've got to clean the galvanized coating off. We're going to use the Everlast Hurricane 220 MTSC and around 19 and 200 so that we can burn a good weld on there. And a quick little trimmy trim on this piece of plate and we're ready to weld these bolts in.
So now, tacky this bolt in. You let me know. I gotta ground it off to the bones of this thing.
That's pretty centered.
All right, you like it? Yeah. Fire in the hole. All right, got a tacky in there. Kind of gross. Can you go turn the machine up? I need more beans.
Beans?
Beans.
What do you mean?
You no savvy beans? Frijoles?
You mean turn
it up, man. Gee whiz, John, that's gross. That's nasty weld there, John.
It'll hold.
So we got this cancer out right here, and we've got the bolt dropped in for the frame, the new one, because the other one was all stripped up. It's welded in. We're gonna paint that, and John went ahead and told us that he wanted to do this one while we're here. So that was cool. Thanks for the extra work before we get into these other back parts. Don't mind that back part. Get all the paint all in there. Get under there.
Jeez, man. You filling her up or what?
It's all the way around. I held my breath the whole time.
It's perfect. It couldn't be better.
Now that we're back on course and we got off that tangent, those bolts are welded in, we're gonna go back to that power set that's actually saved from whenever we got off of it. So we'll just run that. I'm very new to body work. By that I mean I've never done it before. So that being said, be easy on me, but what I do know is we've got our piece. It's actually fit up quite nicely. We're only gonna do the body work on the stuff that people aren't gonna see. This is getting Line-X'd and all that kind of stuff, so be easy on us. We're learning. All the other stuff we're gonna take to some professionals. But everything's lined up. I'm just gonna tack the corners in. We got magnets holding everything kind of steady. I'm gonna go for the corners and then I'm gonna remove the magnets and make sure that everything is lined up when I'm tacking. If I have to pull or adjust or hammer as I go, I will. Floor pan's tacked in, or the new piece. It's painted on the back side. We're gonna go ahead and make sure that these are lined up. Well, actually I'm gonna tack it here and then kind of give everything a good cleaning before we start putting a bunch of stuff down. When I'm tacking, I'm just kind of resting my nozzle on the piece of sheet metal, aiming my wire where I need it. The reason why we're sputtering so much on the start is because we're running such a thick wire for the voltage. If we went down to that 030 or something that's more for this style of welding, it would be easier. So now I'm just going to try to make short little welds across from one another. definitely an art to welding thin stuff, and I don't think I've got that down yet. Now there is a little bit of this high-low in there, and if I grind too much and over-grind this bead, then we're gonna see some thin spots in that sheet metal, and I don't want that. It's solid, it's gonna get covered up. We're gonna move on to the other side, get it tacked down. Yeah, that'll do. After blending my side, I tossed the MIG gun over to John so that he can get that other small piece tacked into place nice and solid. From one pipe, you know, industrial thick welder to another, what do you think about welding thin stuff?
It's tough, man. I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that can do both very well, but thin stuff is a trade of its own. They both have their challenges.
Freaking humbling, man.
It's tough. I mean, it can get away from you quick.
After paying our respects to the MIG welding bodyworking gods, we had to just keep going. Weld it up, get these two pieces done, blend it in so that we can move on to these real rusty spots. If you're gonna already go ahead and get this stuff off just for everything to look smooth, you should just remove this whole thing. Okay. Just be careful. Put your safeties back on. I'm gonna shove a piece of cardboard in there, and then I'm gonna get underneath and trace it. Some good old cardboard CAD. You got them nice and tight up there, John?
Yeah.
See how that old dog fits. Well, that's not great. I wish it was a little bit bigger.
That's what she said.
When you trace it, cut on the outside of the line.
Yeah, definitely gonna have to cut way on the outside of it, but we have that now. We'll cut the rest of this out in this corner and remove the rest of the cancer. Now we're gonna be, we've got some big holes to fill, huh, John? That's a big hole. There's plenty of little spots on this thing, but man, we did take care of the majority of these bigger problems. But man, look at all this stuff. It's nasty. We got some of the cardboard CAD done on these top pieces. Now we're gonna get this weird corner, this weird box. And all we really did, we didn't pull a tape measure or nothing, right? We just shove a box in. John traced the bottom of it, and we shoved the other box in, traced it, and then we came up with our little cardboard CAD, man. More tape. Got that piece all taped up, so now John can put that one back there. And you got a marker? Oh, there it is. We got this one taped up. We're gonna go ahead and transfer them on the steel, cut them out, bend it on the brake, get everything fit. Hopefully it all fits. If not, which we've already made one mistake, it's all right. We've got some more steel.
Oh yeah, that looks beautiful.
Just gonna go around and fill up the big holes first, and then we're gonna be doing that same technique as far as just spot welds just everywhere, so we don't warp too much of anything or leave a bunch of whiskers on the back side from punching through. See, now we're not sputtering as much because we have more heat and less wire to push, or the same amount of wire, but you guys know what I mean.
After the welding, I quickly sanded everything down so you guys couldn't judge me too much for it. There was some pretty ugly stuff, but we blended everything in as best we could so that it's ready for the next step.
Well, that looks like it's it, guys. We were able to complete this little bit of body work that we needed to do on the floor pans, replace the rusty bolts, replace all the infected rusty areas. You know, we did our best, but look at what all we removed. These bad bolts, all this bad rust. You could tell that someone else had their go at a DIY experience just like we did today, except they just patched it. We cut it out, we got rid of that rust. Stay tuned for next time we're doing this. This will be all off to the professionals to do all the outside of the body work and do the paint as well. While that's away, we're gonna do the full exhaust on the build as well. So we'll be able to use this Hurricane, do some TIG welding on it. And if you like to see the previous video of us working on the frame, check it out here. We'll see you on the next one.